Well, the Chris Knoblauch era begins in oil country. Will he be the man to lead the team back? We get you set for the Oilers and the Islanders right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Hi, everybody. Tom Gazzola with you. Joaquin Gage filling in for Matty Cassian and YouTube Trev holding things down back at ESTHQ. Hello, Gager. How are you today, pal?
I'm all right, buddy. How's everything going? It's been a whirlwind of a weekend for Edmonton Sports Talk. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's been nuts. A lot of listeners, a lot of viewers. That's been great. We appreciate that very much, very, very much. And if you want to get in on the conversation, like a lot of you have, 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, Gager, but we did expect that there would probably be a coaching change. The way things went down yesterday with the press conference, before we get into game changers, just what's your take on the move, how it was done, and Chris Knoblauch being the guy that comes in to replace Jay Woodcroft, and then Paul Coffey running the defense now?
Surprised, I think, like a lot of people. We talked about it and we thought, well, is something going to come here? The Oilers are no strangers by any means to fire their coach after a win. But I really felt, Tommy, that they were going to give with what Woodcroft's been able to do in a little under 2 years is quite. It's quite remarkable. You know, he's had a lot of success, and he's had valleys too that he's come out of. I just really thought that they were, although I understand the move, I really thought they were going to give him another segment of those 10 games.
Yeah.
And I realized if things stayed the same, they would be scrutinized over it. But a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to everything with the team that's assembled and how it got from so good to so bad within 30 days, and not have the confidence in your group is a little bit troubling to me. It was a little bit troubling.
I'm assuming you watched that press conference and you know, some contradictory things were said, and you saw Chris Knoblauch kind of looking to Kenny Holland at times, looking over to Jeff Jackson at times. What's your read on how that one went down yesterday? Because in the room there, it was odd. It was like a mix of here we go again with, oh boy, really, Chris Knoblauch. How did we get to Chris Knoblauch from Jay Woodcroft and not maybe somebody with a bigger repertoire in the National Hockey League, like, for example, a Gerard Gallant. But Gager, how did you interpret everything we saw and everything we heard yesterday in that press conference?
To be completely honest, it looked like a bunch of guys winging it in an interview, or at their speech. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of communication of how we're going to approach different questions. It kind of reminded me of a Trump speech. Really, it's just completely all over the place, and
Right.
you didn't know some of the things that were said. A little bit head shaking, to say the least. Not being on the same page. If that's the indication of what it's happening at the top, Tommy, that's concerning to me, because really, if everyone's so far away from who's running things, who's saying this, you need that kind of military structure of, the buck has to stop with someone. It can't just be someone else. He's got to get, if voting on committee and stuff, is everyone putting up their hand and voting on these decisions? It just seems like you need one guy in charge, I think, for the most part. And it just seemed like there was multiple people that are in different areas, and some people even saying that they didn't want to do the job, and now they're there. It seemed disorganized, and I was like, wow. You'd think with the amount of preparation, they knew they were getting a new coach, they were doing all these things, that they would have had everything prepared before they got out there in front of the media.
Yeah, 780-218-9999 if you want to get in on the conversation. Chris Knoblauch was the coach of the Hartford Wolfpack, and he did coach 6 games back in 2021, where he took over for David Quinn on the Rangers staff when David Quinn and the Rangers coaching staff were placed in COVID protocol. Remember that? And the Rangers did go on to a 4-2 record with Knoblauch filling in as head coach. They won their first game 9-0 at MSG against the Philadelphia Flyers. So if you're wondering about Chris Knoblauch's tenure as a head coach in the NHL, it's very brief. He was an assistant for a few years in Philly as well. And now he gets his chance as a head coach with the Edmonton Oilers. And we will see how things start to play out tonight with this date against New York Islanders, who Knoblauch was drafted by, Gager. And you got your dog there?
Kai. He's all right.
He was drafted by the Islanders, and fittingly, his first game is against the Islanders. Oddly enough, Jay Woodcroft's first game as head coach of the Oilers was against the New York Islanders as well. So do you have any history with Chris Knoblauch by any chance, Gager? Do you know much of him? Have you heard anything of him that you could pass on to our listeners and our viewers today?
Well, as soon as I see like his birth date and former hockey player, I'm trying to figure out he's not one of the millions out there that have put one past me at some point or another, Tommy. But no, I don't think he ever scored on me. So that's one good thing. But no, I mean, I'm not completely up to date on all coaches. I do like, there's one thing I do like. I like them stepping out of the box, not recycling some other coach at this point. But on the other side of that, Tommy, I'm troubled a little bit by it, by having a guy without any head coach. Like he's been a head coach, but no head coaching experience in the NHL. I mean, you can't tell me he's not nervous tonight too. Like this is his big shot. You have a guy, Paul Coffey, who's never run a bench at the NHL level either, right? That's a whole new learning curve on its own. So to be in a window of succeeding and the ultimate goal of winning everything, and having people that, although there's someone with a lot of experience of winning Stanley Cups, which I think is desperately needed, I would have liked to have seen more guys actually that have done it recently with and are still playing on this group. But to have two people with not a lot of experience at the like at the helm with a team that you're thinking that you're going to be hoisting something at the end of the year, again, is questionable to me at this case. And everything about it is kind of puzzling. And it could, I think Dusty said it multiple times today, which was funny. Hey, it could work out. It could be great. Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of questions still need to be answered by why this decision, why the person, why go with what made Paul Coffey say yes to this. Like, there's a lot of things that we'll probably never know the answers, but it would be nice to.
Yeah. Text comes in via the nasty chat from Zulu. Says, I hope Oilers play as sharp as Gager looks in that shirt. Gager, very nice today. You look very nice.
Well, I try to keep up with old TG. He's looking good.
Thanks, pal. You look great too. Before we get into game changers, one more on this coaching decision. What now for Jay Woodcroft? Like, how long until we see him, I'm assuming, behind another NHL bench as a head coach again?
Well, if I'm LA or Vegas and it looks like the Oilers are making a push, I'm looking to hire Woodcroft just as an associate to get some feedback on the Oilers and get the kind of inside track to these players, discuss with systems, all those things. That's how I'd look at it. Yeah, I could see him being of course, he's probably going to want to coach. I don't know. I immediately looked around the league and saw, well, where could this possibly end up? I don't think we'll know. I think he's probably just going to want to decompress. This is probably really tough on him. I'm really. It's upsetting to hear about with Dave Manson just losing his partner. That I talked to Kelly Buckberger because they were so close. I asked how Dave was doing, and he's just his whole world was rocked, right? And kind of the one thing he was looking forward to was being a coach, right? And I'm not positive, but I think even he was staying at Bucky's place too, right? So, yeah, let's. I hope everything goes well for both of them. Really feel bad for Dave in these circumstances, but both great guys. They're going to be back on their feet in no time.
Yeah.
Woodcroft's a really good coach. I liked when he first came. I thought that by the end of it, he was using too much of the crutch with the big two. But it'll be interesting to see how he, if he gets another head coach, how he implements his players in a team without the two best players in the game. It'd be interesting to see how he does things at that point.
Yeah, .643 winning percentage as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Less than 2 calendar years, Jay Woodcroft was at the helm. And here we are, as we said earlier, seems like they're winging it a little bit, and we'll see if they can fly by the seat of their pants and make it work with Chris Knoblauch back there. His first chance tonight as the Oilers take on the Islanders. Edmonton 3-9-1 on the season. The Islanders 5-5-3. I'll throw out a question of the night to you all. If you're listening, 780-218-9999 if you want to answer this question of the night. And then to those that are watching via the Nasty Chat, is Chris Knoblauch the guy who will right the ship and help lead the Oilers back to prominence this season? So let us know your thoughts on that as we get into Game Changers with Joaquin Gage, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current one. Community driven. Damon understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Joaquin Gage, number one on Game Changers tonight. Fresh start.
Yeah, and I mean, you've heard everyone talk about it when a new coach comes in, depending on the hierarchy of the team and where you sit. A lot of guys, it's a new lease on life, right? Mm-hmm. You got a guy with fresh eyeballs. Maybe you weren't playing in a role that you thought you could be doing more. We heard Derek Ryan talk about last year how it was great, or a couple years ago when Woodcroft came in, and all of a sudden was the delegation of responsibility was even throughout the team and made people feel more part of it. And I think that's something that's been lacking in this first segment of the season. So gives everyone that fresh start, lights a fire under guys that have warranted more ice time. We've seen what Evander Kane's been able to do this year and what he's done. Warren Fogle has arguably been the best Oiler all year long. He's got to prove himself again to stay in those roles. I think this can help a lot of the younger guys too. Bouchard, I look at, he can kind of go, okay, I got to reset here. Mm-hmm. Holloway, he's had Woodcroft for a couple of years and maybe not playing. I thought last game was his best game. Absolutely. By far. Definitely something to build on but wants to do that again. And of course you have your core veteran group of you heard them to a man talk about how they were upset. You take a little bit of the responsibility of getting someone fired. That's not always a good feeling too. So fresh start for everyone. I think under these circumstances, it could be the most needed thing with the Edmonton Oilers.
Chris Knoblauch at the helm, behind the bench of the Edmonton Oilers, number one of Game Changers. Fresh start for Gager. Number two, I like this. They did it the other night in Seattle, I think, Gager, but play another 60 minutes.
Yeah. So complete the game, right? We saw a little bit of a pushback from the Kraken at the end, and probably the second period there, they were pushing a little bit.
Hmm.
They bent but didn't break. And I think that's really important. You're not going to dominate the other team for 60 minutes. I would say unless it's the San Jose Sharks, but we know that's not possible.
Too soon.
So I I just for confidence and building blocks for the team, playing another 60 is so crucial at this point. No lapses, stay focused, stay within the game. And I mean, you're trying to impress a new coach, so I don't think there should be any trouble coming tonight, and completing that full 60 minutes.
Stuart Skinner the other night, 18 shots that he faced, 17 saves. The goal that went in, I mean, he had no chance on it. It was redirected in off a skate by, was it Jaden Schwartz? How is he looking in the last little bit here? And then I suppose the last point of reference would be that game in Seattle, where it seemed like when he was actually getting shots, he looked calm, cool, and collected. What are you seeing from him lately? Because like we keep hearing, it's his net now.
The the San Jose game, I felt very nervous, like wasn't sure of himself, uh, almost like he was on skate guards at
Mm,
some points. Right, that just
yep.
shows me that Stu's not confident in his game. Like he's a he's a very very good positional goaltender. Like uses the big frame, gets to the spots where he makes himself big, top of the crease. That's when he's kind of feeling it. He made that really good. I think it was a blocker save, unreal save. Wasn't too busy, but stopped the pucks he needed to. Got in the way of it. Controlled rebounds. Um, Sometimes those are almost like a night off, right? Those
Hmm.
games you're counted on a little bit. I really good, because in a game like that where you're not busy, Tommy, can be terrible in the mind of a goalie as well, because you're thinking, okay, the next shot's coming. I haven't had anything. You're trying to do everything that you can to stay in the game. Where in a game where you're seeing 40, you just don't have to think about anything because the other team's just peppering you. So
Hmm.
it's actually really encouraging that he was able to stick with it and made the saves he had to throughout the whole game.
Zulu said Skinner is the huge question mark for him. So we'll see Stuart Skinner again tonight against the New York Islanders. When would you go to Calvin Pickard, Gager? Is there a right time? Is it Wednesday, or do you just ride out Stuart Skinner here?
I've said this. I think the schedule is suited for just to ride one guy for a while. I have no trouble playing Skinner these next 5 games or the rest of the month.
Hmm.
You got a day in between each game, Tommy. I don't. You're a professional. I think you should be able to recover in that one day and get ready for the next.
Yep.
I To me, it's not a big deal if there is a goaltender change. But I'm riding Stu. He's got to get that mojo back that he had at this time last year.
Yeah. Islanders tonight, Kraken on Wednesday. Then it's off to the road next week. Starts on Saturday at Tampa, Monday at the Florida Panthers, Wednesday at Carolina, and then Friday afternoon, 1 o'clock, American Thanksgiving at Washington. And then they come home for a couple. Sunday the 26th against the Ducks, and the 28th is a Tuesday against the Golden Knights. And then they wrap up the month in Winnipeg on the 30th. And like you said, Gage, your days between games, at least one between all of those games mentioned, and then two between the Kraken and the Lightning later on this week. 780-218-9999. We are doing game changers right now with Joaquin Gage. Number one was fresh start. Number two was play another 60 minutes. Number three, 2 wins in a row is a streak.
Yeah, I mean, haven't been able to say it much, but 2 wins in a row, it is a streak. And winning, a lot like losing, Tommy. Once it snowballs, it's hard to get out of it. We've seen this team in the past. When they get rolling, it's almost like they can do no wrong. And again, for confidence wise, this is going to be a good test. Like the Islanders are no pushover, right? There's some veteran guys, good goalie. It's going to take a full 60. I think that good opportunity to get this kind of new era of the Oilers off to a good start. Yeah, I'd like to see them. You're not going to go far, and you're not going to play late April if you can't start stringing a few wins together.
Yeah.
Good teams, you'll always hear. This is I shouldn't even bring this up, but after a loss is you never lose two in a row, right? Good teams will always say that in the dressing room after a loss, and usually come back with a win. Oilers got to keep it rolling here.
Yeah. Bison Mask guy in the nasty chat said it looks like I'm fed up. He said it looks like Tommy's fed up. We did Oil Stream today, Gager. As the show progressed, I got more and more annoyed by the whole circumstance surrounding how this went down, their choice of how to bring in Chris Knoblauch, the lack of answers, or the weird, press conference yesterday. So, Bison Mask guy is kind of onto something. I am kind of fed up. And listen, I don't play for the team. I don't work for the organization, but it just, I guess, it baffles me and blows my mind. And I'm at the point now where it's like, come on, you guys, figure this out. These are smart, intelligent hockey men. And it doesn't seem like they're being rational right now. That's why I'm kind of fed up. And Bison Mask guy, yeah, good read. I do feel that way. Am I crazy? Am I taking crazy pills here, Gager? Or is it understandable to be fed up with the circumstances that I just described?
Nah, man, you're emotional. That's fine. That's good. Show that side. Well, look, even that's just a rock, solid. I get caught up in the Oilers and the season. I think it's good to have a little bit of care into how they're doing, because we're tired of talking about this, Tommy. It's awful. Like sometimes I don't want to be talking about negative things anymore. We want to see the brilliant. I want to talk about great plays, these things that they're doing. Yeah, it's frustrating because I think as a collective group, we had high hopes to have a type of season that we're going to be talking about for a long time, and hopefully it ends with something special by the end of it all. So that's kind of why I can see why you're upset, because I'm a little bit upset too, Tommy.
Oh, thank you, Richard. Thank you. The voice of reason, a sounding board for sure. Ali Texan says something definitely stinks about all this. And then another one says, not just you, Tommy. Rashog has been for weeks. Yeah, Shogger too. I think a lot of us are, even those that, again, aren't on the team, but cover it, just get annoyed by it. One other thing, Gager, to float your way, because it's something that has popped up more recently a little bit. The captain skates. A lot has been looked at with the captain skates and the guys going too early and this and that. Cass kind of was like, guys always did captain skates, and because Connor told everyone to be there on the 5th of September and they showed up and they had this business like mentality, I think it became a bigger story than maybe it needed to be. But is there something there to those that are suggesting the captain skates didn't need to happen so early, and that led to the injuries to Matthias Ekholm and Ryan McLeod? Like, what would you say to all of that? What do you think of when you think back to it?
Originally, when I heard the term captain skate, get everyone in here early, I thought it was more team building types of things. When I heard they were on the ice every day, I was like, gross. You have all year to do that type of stuff, right? I can see a few skates in here, but I really thought it was more, these guys are probably going to rent out a room at the JPL for a few days, bring all the family, just get that kind of unity going and have some fun before the grind of the regular season. Look, man, it's hard enough. Like, one of the first things when you retire, it's like, phew, I don't have to do that anymore with that grind. You miss the game, but the grind is very, very difficult. So initially I thought, okay, cool. But once I saw, maybe it's just me as a goalie, like, everyone's just ripping pucks at you all year. You don't need a couple extra weeks of guys trying to go bar down all the time,
Right.
especially in summer skates like that, right? So I liked it, but I thought that it was going to be used in a completely different way of team building, not just slapping pucks and working on the D zone.
Right. Well, I guess maybe next year we won't see the same mandatory captain skates. We shall see how things play out. Lots of hockey left to be played. Oilers and Islanders tonight. Overall, Gager, I'll leave you with this and ask you this: just what are we anticipating from the Oilers tonight? Tell me about a coach's bump when a change is made mid-season as a player, and what kind of effect it truly does have if you've gone through it before.
Well, there is, just for the facts that I said before, is
Mhm.
everyone's trying to impress the new guy, right? I think you also have one of the greatest defensemen ever to play on the bench. There's going to be a lot of guys trying to impress Koff as well. It's only natural at that point, right? So
Mhm.
there is going to be a bump. Um, I I found it interesting after a win to mix up the lines as much as they did. But then again, I am a fan of splitting up the big two. I think it's way more difficult for teams to play against. One of those guys will command the attention of usually just that top pairing, giving the other, whoever that is, Connor or Leon, a little bit more free reign against probably not their best defenders, and can hopefully take advantage. I think they've been too predictable in a lot of things. But look, what the Oilers have to do is take the blueprint of what Hyman did last game. Like
Right.
I know this is terrible, but I'm taking Woodcroft saying it. They need to start scoring the goals that are scored late April, May, and June, not the ones that are scored, well, or they're not scoring anyway, but in October and
Right.
November, right? They have
Yeah.
to be, they're all 6 feet from the goal line at that point, maybe 8, right? They need to establish that presence. And what I would say for Holloway is I hope he just watched that game on repeat over and over again. This is a guy that I've been critical of. I
Sure.
think he's been anointed this dynamo kind of offensive guy, and he hasn't shown me anything of that. What I saw from him is finally starting to figure out what it's going to take him to be a regular NHLer. And I think he's a little bit of a pest, Tommy. There
Yeah.
were guys chasing Holloway trying to get last shots in, and I'm like, huh, I haven't seen that. That's finishing his checks. I mean, he's not a yappy guy or cheap shots. He is just playing at a level that's so intense and hard that he's driving the other team a little bit nuts. Like
Hmm.
and getting in the fight. Like I think him getting in that fight really took the wind out of the sails of the Kraken, because they were kind of pushing at that point. So it gave a little bit more life to the Oilers at that point. So I'll have the ISOCAM on Holloway today. Never pass up a chance to just finish your checks on a guy and get in there, extra wax, trying to get loose pucks. Yeah, he was an agitator, and I loved it. I thought it was a great game from him, and a
All,
goal.
yeah. All 4 goals, Gager, from like you said, 6 to 8 feet in, and that's what it takes. And those goals count too. So we'll see if they can continue that tonight with the new head coach and assistant coach. Fantastic work as always to you, sir, filling in for Matty Cassian. Are you going to be hopping on post game tonight? You got time for that?
Yeah, if you still have my email. Yeah.
I definitely still have it, and I like how you called yourself Gage After Dark on the
Yeah.
program. Well
Yeah.
done, sir. Well done. Okay, we'll catch up with you in a little bit, Gage.
All right,
Enjoy the
buddy.
game.
Take care.
That is Game Changers with Joaquin Gage tonight. Game Changers brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram page, Damon Bunting Real Estate. If you're looking to get into the market, maybe you're looking to sell property, Damon is your go-to guy. Let's get into the inbox. Let's also welcome in YouTube Trev. What's going on, YouTube Trev? You doing all right, pal?
How's it going, Tommy? How's it going?
I'm doing good, man.
It's sorry, I was coming in a little hot there. Yeah, we're this is a lot of, well, I mean, it's kind of fun. It's been a crazy last 24, well, 36 hours, I guess. I was awakened by just my phone was just rumbling with texts, and I'm like, what? And the EST group chat that we have, it's I've got a very distinct, satisfying bing, and so I'm trying to sleep, Tommy, and I just hear bing, bing, and I'm like, what are the boys doing? And then I roll over, and I'm like, oh snap! So that was crazy. Kind of like everyone woke up, and I was like, whoa. So the boys at EST do what we do best. We were on that very quick, and that video is still just chugging along. So super awesome to see that, guys. Keep liking and subscribing. It's honestly so sweet to see the numbers going up. But as for today, like, I mean, I'm just like everyone else, Tommy. I did not expect it after a win. Yeah. They're already in their heads right now. Like, what would happen if they lose tonight? Like, what are they gonna? I don't know. Like, that's But what he said from some of the quotes I read, he's like, I just want to get the guys, just alleviate all that stress and just enjoy playing the game of hockey. I think that they are in their heads right now. So I like that, but I mean, I feel like I'm going to like a lot that he has to say probably. So, but it's been just hectic, very hectic, and kind of crazy. Not going to lie.
It is crazy. Yeah. Well said, Trev. Well said. I'm going to read some texts and get to some of the nasty chat. Lots coming in, 780-218-9999, or the nasty chat if you're watching on the EST YouTube channel. Thank you. As always, appreciate it. This one from Harry. Harry texts and says, Tom, I would love to see someone ask if the only reason we are keeping Dustin Schwartz is because he's married to someone from the family. I keep seeing that. I don't know. I've met Schwartzy's wife. I don't know if there's a connection. So I honestly don't know, Harry. But I keep seeing this pop up. Then Harry says, now, after that question, I think we just need to cool it and give these guys a chance. I think the angle of all the connections to McDavid is being way overplayed. Cough, cough, cough. Dusty. Connor Brown was, if you believe Stauffer, brought in for being Hyman light. Yeah, I believe that, Harry. Connection to 97 secondary, if at all. As to coaching change, maybe the one comment lacking is why we didn't try Gerard Gallant. I don't think anyone is happy with the situation, but having to hear McDavid say he has heard the narrative, quote unquote, just makes this market and fans and media alike come across as a bunch of backwater hicks. Just stupid, really. Or does everyone forget what his addition to this team and city has meant for us? Have a good game tonight. Looking forward to more from you guys. On another note, how do I inquire about advertising opportunities? From Harry. Harry, I'm going to send you a note, and I appreciate that very, very much. And we will get in touch. Dash says, Tommy, from how you explained the energy at the rink today, it sounds like the players were being introduced to their new stepdad while still at their own father's funeral. How do you think that energy translates into their play tonight? Dash from Heavy Hockey. Good to hear from you, Dash. Good job. You guys were all over the changes on Friday. I think they're going to put on their big boy pants, and when the puck drops tonight, they're going to play hard. I really do. All the stuff that's happened leading up to this, has frustrated a lot of people, including the players. How it went down, how, Knoblauch was brought in. I think, if they can, and I think they should be able to just put it out of sight, out of mind, and just play the damn game. Play the damn game. So let's see if that translates tonight. And like Gage was saying, that coach's bump pops up in a situation like this. I like this one from Mary. Good to hear from Mary. Knoblauch is not the guy. Red like Maury Povich reveal. That's from Twitter, Mary. Yes, I hope I did that justice. I haven't watched Maury Povich in a long time. You are not the father. So Mary says Knoblauch is not the guy. Vance Vandervan Texan says, this whole thing has played out like an episode of Arrested Development. If you're drawing comparisons to the Bluth family, you might be panicking just a little. Excellent Arrested Development comparison and reference. I love Arrested Development. Great show, Vance Vandervan. No surprise that you were a fan of Arrested Development. This one from Coach Mike says, Dean Evison might be on the hot seat in mini. That's from Coach Mike. He knows a thing or two about coaching with a name like Coach Mike. And this one says, Tommy, every sports talk show host was fed up today except for Stoff. That said, Stoff did acknowledge yesterday was tough on him because two coaches he respects lost their jobs. Yes, Bob does respect those guys very much. And man, it was just a weird vibe in that room yesterday. And the fact that the press conference went the way it did, is
Just
it was,
really weird. Like, have you ever
yeah.
seen anything like that?
Oh yeah,
In
no,
your
it had elements of the Mac T Kevin Lowe press conference from I think 2013, somewhere around there. That one went off the rails though, and I remember John McKinnon, who was at the Journal at the time, really got to Mac T and Kevin, and they popped off, and that one went sideways, and it got heated, and so there were some elements of that yesterday, but it didn't have the anger, frustration, and scorn the way the one back in, I think it was, I really do think it was 2013. It was I think I know a thing or two about winning that press conference. I remember that one, leaving that one and being like, oh my God, what the hell was that? So there were elements of that yesterday for sure, Trev, but not with the zaniness of that one 10 years ago or whatever it was. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But Tommy, I gotta ask you, like, what are your thoughts? Do you think they made the right decision in bringing in like a Woody 2.0 essentially? You know, that's what he did before this, or would you have liked to seen like a Gerard Gallant, a very experienced guy, or you know, it's tough to say because they've kind of done both now. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
You think this is the right call?
Right call to be determined. Do I like it? Not really. I'll be honest. I don't like the fed up thing, like we've been talking about throughout the first 35 minutes of the show. Just kind of like, no, I don't really particularly like it. If it is necessary to get this thing going, I understand. Will it take? I don't know. You know, you hope for the sake of the fan base, it does. I am a little bit surprised that we didn't hear of a Gerard Gallant being considered or being brought in to discuss, and how this kind of hastily came together. And they just said, yep, Chris Knoblauch's our guy. We're going to pluck him out of the Hartford Wolf Pack. He's going to be here on a plane tomorrow. And you heard the timeline from Ken Holland where they were discussing it on Saturday about making the move. And then they let Woodcroft and Manson coach that game. And then when they got back, they called him yesterday and said, that's it. And then they got Knoblauch in there. Yeah, it just, it's just, it has a lot of desperation on it, reeks of it. They need to do something to get this thing back on track. You know, I thought the win was going to help. There were people in hockey ops that weren't even sure what the game plan was, that still thought that Jay had, you know, fought to live another day. So yeah, there's all kinds of lack of communication, miscommunication.
Yeah,
It's bizarre. If they win tonight and they win on Wednesday and they get a good thing going here, then, you know, this will quiet down. We'll put it aside. We'll forget about it and say, well, Chris Knoblauch's doing a good job. But up until that puck drops tonight, bizarre.
time will tell.
Don't really like it. Yeah.
No, that's totally
That's
fair.
my take on it.
Totally fair, Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, 780-218-9999. Let's get into starting lineups, and then we are going to hear from Chris Knoblauch. I'll say this too, like a very thoughtful, sincere guy in what I've seen and heard. I met him yesterday. Well, I had met him years before. Stauffer introduced me to him years before. But like, you know, said hello and reintroduced myself to him. So he has a moment in his press conference where, you know, pretty heartfelt, and you can see the emotion get to him. And we will play that, and we can discuss and break it all down together when we do. Let's just get into starting lineups right now, and then we'll get to some of the clips from this morning from the Oilers. Here is what we're anticipating from the Oil. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Gagne. Draisaitl centering Kane and Hyman. McLeod between Holloway and Fogle. Then you've got Hamblin with Lavoie and Ryan on defense. No changes. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse with Ceci. Kulak with Desharnais. Janmark continues to be out, and Brown as well. As for the Islanders, here is what we're anticipating from them. Bo Horvat between Matt Barzal and Simon Holmstrom. Brock Nelson centering Pierre Engvall and Kyle Palmieri. JG Pajot with Anders Lee and Oliver Wahlstrom. Casey Cizikas with Julian Gauthier and Cal Clutterbuck. On defense for the Isles, Sebastian Aho with Noah Dobson. Alexander Romanov paired up with Ryan Pulock. And then Samuel Bolduc with Scott Mayfield out tonight for the Islanders. Looks like Matt Martin will be a healthy scratch. Hudson Fasching as well. And then Adam Pelech is day-to-day with a lower body issue. Starting goalies, 25-year-old Stuart Skinner, 2-5-1 on the season, 353. GAA 861 save percentage in 9 games this season. Those averages are not good. He's looking to improve those. He will face the Islanders for the first time in his career. At the other end of the rink, we're anticipating 28-year-old Ilya Sorokin getting the nod. 3-2-3 record, 324 goals against average, 907 save percentage with 1 shutout in 8 games this season. He is one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League for sure. Sorokin versus the Oilers, 2-2 record, 225 goals against average, 937 save percentage with 1 shutout in 4 games versus Edmonton. So there are your starting lineups and your starting netminders as the Oilers get set to go toe-to-toe with the New York Islanders. One of 2 games on the schedule tonight. The other one is a late one. Seattle welcomes the Colorado Avalanche to Climate Pledge Arena. All right. Keep those texts coming in. 780-218-9999. Nasty chat I see is it's kind of going today. Everyone, maybe there's a bit of a malaise, perhaps, after the changes and everything that's gone on over the last couple of days. Let us know your thoughts. Will Chris Knoblauch be the guy that can lead this team or will lead this team to prominence yet again? And will he be able to salvage the season? Let us know. 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty chat. With that being said, let's get to the new head coach, Chris Knoblauch, speaking to the media today.
6:30, Chad. First day, you're jumping in on the ice. How do you boil down the message for the players tonight? What do you try to get across?
I try and make it as simple as possible. Obviously, there's got to be changes because of the record, and obviously there's a change of the head coach being the biggest change, but just changing the person up here talking.
We're having some minor technical difficulties there. I'm just trying to
What
figure
happened?
I don't know. The audio's not coming through, but it's there.
It was sounding good.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I could hear it. I was putting on my chapstick.
Oh, me oh my. I'm sorry
And
about
it
that.
sounded
Okay,
good.
well, let's
start
keep,
it again.
Let's keep rolling this. My apologies, guys.
All good.
6:30, Chad. First day, you're jumping in on the ice. How do you boil down the message for the players tonight? What do you try to get across?
I try and make it as simple as possible. Obviously, there's got to be changes because of the record, and obviously there's a change of the head coach being the biggest change, but just changing the person up here talking at the podium or in the dressing room or rolling the lines, that's not going to make the difference. But I think it's really important that players feel themselves, feel confident, and put the start of the season behind them. And we've talked about some minor changes to our systems, and we're going to move on from there. And as the season progresses, there'll be more and more changes, but we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not doing anything very drastic. We just got to get better at executing details, and things will look after themselves.
I know you mentioned that yesterday as well, a little bit about frustration, and I think you mentioned pressure. I assume you've seen at least some games or some video of the games. Did you sense that even just watching on a screen that there's something just not clicking with the guys?
Oh, absolutely. There's numerous games. I know, a couple of weeks ago I was watching the Rangers, obviously, because I was affiliated with them, and that game was clear, but especially the Vancouver game, where in the first period, I believe the shots were heavily lopsided, 18-4, and after the second, or going into the second period, you're trailing. But there was domination, and then there's just being over-aggressive, trying to score that goal. And then what happens is you're being over-aggressive. Forwards are anticipating the defenseman keeping a puck in. Defenseman's chasing a puck that they weren't quite going to get, maybe 50-50, and then it ends up getting chipped out, and you're giving up an odd-man rush. And now you're giving up a goal. So the passion is there. The work ethic is there. But I think there's the frustration of, I got to make it happen this shift. And what happens is mistakes are piling up that way.
Chris, we didn't really have time to get into this yesterday, but tonight will be your first game as a full-time NHL head coach. I know you had some games in New York. during the COVID year, but you were more there just to fill in. Can you kind of talk about just, take a moment what this means for you and how exciting it is to be now an NHL head coach?
Yeah, it is quite different. When I was there as interim head coach with New York, it was fun. It was there was no pressure on me. I was there running the bench, and obviously being in the NHL was exciting. And now it's a little bit different. Obviously, when you are the head coach here and it's your position, and your decisions are being questioned and evaluated, obviously there's a lot more pressure. But that being said, I'm just as excited, or even not even more, that it's my call, it's my decisions, and eventually it's going to be my team. It's going to take some time to implement all my systems and all my expectations to the players, but it's a process that I'm really excited to get going.
We saw it today, Connor and Leon, they've been split up a lot, but they played a lot together lately. Do you feel, when having watched and what you've seen apart, is your team better when they're going to center their top two lines, can give you a potential mismatch with both?
Well, I think so. It's a difficult situation. You got two players that have to be on the ice or play a lot, and when they are separated, you're looking at 19 to 23 minutes with McDavid and 19 to 23 minutes with Draisaitl. Well, then you don't have many minutes for the third and fourth line. And it's so important to get your third and fourth line contributing and have an identity. But when the top two lines are playing so much, it takes away from their game, and it creates problems. But, to solve that problem is put Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line, and then there's not that issue. It's so much easier to roll those lines and get everyone playing. It's going to be a challenge, but I do think we're better off having those two on separate lines. And there's going to be times where they definitely will. Every game they're going to have shifts that they are together, especially like after penalty kills, after breaks, last shift in the periods, and stuff like that. They will be playing together.
Is there a chance of less is more? We see some other teams who have two top centers that, maybe they're both around 20 instead of 23. Do you think there's a situation where that could come out and might benefit your team?
Well, absolutely. I would love to win hockey games with them playing 19 games, especially when you're playing a back-to-back. You play Friday night and then again Saturday or whatever it is, where they only play 19 on Friday. Well, then they're going to be much better for the next night. I'd be ridiculous to say that they're not going to hit 23 minutes in games, because there's going to be times where there's lots of power plays. We're chasing a goal. They're playing really well. I don't know. But I would like to keep them down a little bit, but I know also when you're on the bench and you've got two players like that, it's pretty hard to hold them back. It's like, let's go.
What's your philosophy on using star players as penalty killers as well?
Well, it's absolutely, if they can do it, then do it. You want to put your players in the best situation. Special teams are so important. Whether it's obviously power play, your best players are typically always on the power play. And the penalty kill, it's always split on having your role players on it or your star players. And if all your star players are on the penalty kill, it takes away your identity and what's the role of these other players. But when you have so many star players not penalty killing, well, then who goes out after that penalty kill? Now you might have some star players sitting there for quite a long period of time. And you think about a situation where you have a kill. Let's just say Conor McDavid's not on the penalty kill. You have a kill, and so there's 2 minutes. But right at the end of that kill, you have another penalty kill. All right, there's probably a timeout in there too, and then you got another kill, and now he gets out there. 7, 8 minutes might go by without him hitting the ice. Well, do I want my star player going 7, 8 minutes without being on the ice? Well, no. He's got to feel it. He's got to be ready to play. You can't be just sitting cold and then expect him to go out there and be the best player. They're difficult decisions, but we'll figure these out. And do I have all the answers right now, tonight, going into the game tonight? No, but hopefully I'll get a better feel of my players, and I might also be going with role players that I think can kill, and I might be disappointed. There might be somebody that I'm using as a penalty killer or as the third unit, and I might find out, wow, he's really good. Now he's on our top unit. So it's a learning process for me too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I mean, there's a body of work that you can dive into if you want to, of who's been doing what so far and what, you can get a lot of information from that. But I imagine part of it is you want players to have a clean slate too. So how much does your information gathering start tonight versus a bit of a deep dive onto what's gone on around here?
There's, I've got a impression on all the players. The coaches that I'm working with, they've got a idea of what the player's identity and how good they are. Management, they do. I think we've done had a lot of conversations, and ultimately, like, I might see a player somehow, and talking to Ken, he might see a player in a different situation. And I'm probably not right, he's probably not right, and it's usually we're somewhere in the middle, and we kind of work off that. But we can't give everyone clean slates where, he's terrible on the penalty kill, but hey, I'm coming in new, let's give you a try. I don't know. I have an idea of going in tonight who's going to be good at what, and we'll see how that works.
Chris, we spoke yesterday a bit about some of the tactical side of the game. I asked Connor Brown about that today, and he said, I can't even remember the systems Chris ran in Erie, but he spoke about how he, quote unquote, how you made, the players feel. And I guess that's part of it. There's a broadcaster back there that's got a line. It's not what the players don't care what you know. They want to know that you care. Just a thought on, has that been part of your coaching evolution, just the communication abilities and, making sure that you have that kind of dialogue with your players?
Yeah, I think the toughest part of being a coach is holding guys accountable. You can have your expectations, and coaches, everybody can teach something, and nobody's got a better system, and it's ultimately holding the players, getting them to do what you're expecting them to do. And I've always felt that trying to empower my players to want to make the right play, feel that it's really important to make that defensive play, break a play up, finish a check, doing things right, and doing it because it's helping the team, and them executing it well makes them feel good. And I've always tried, and it's so easy to do it, and it's the parents in here, it's so easy to get upset with your kid for spilling something or doing something that they weren't supposed to, but if they don't know, you can't get upset at them. So you want to empower them, give them the information, what needs to be done, and hopefully they're doing it because they want to do it and not doing it because they fear of messing up. Okay, if you have a bunch of players worried about, if I turn over the puck, I'm not going to play for the rest of the period. Well, you're going to find it's a pretty boring hockey game, and you're not going to be creating much offense because they're just going to be throwing the puck out, and you're going to end up defending, and more mistakes are going to lead that way. So it's a fine balance on, what's a mistake from just your execution was off, but your intent was right, or is it just the player who it didn't matter to them? It wasn't that important, and they didn't care, and they were just doing whatever. Well, then that's easy for a coach to pull back their ice time. So I don't know. There's not this is the way we're going to do it.
Who are the people that put you here today? Who are the coaches, the players, the people in your life that have you standing up here today?
That's tough. First, it's my wife. Sorry. Just was a little emotional leaving my family to get here and being here. But I'll move on. Rob Dahm at the U of A, obviously, had a big influence on me. Coaching, my time in Philadelphia, the hack was huge, but also starting coaching in the Western League when I was in Prince Albert. Peter Anholtz and Mark Hollick when I went to Kootenay. I was an assistant coach, knew nothing, very little. I had a really strong work ethic, would spend hours in there, and I'd have ideas of what I needed to do. And I don't think once they ever said, no, let's not do that. They're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go do it. You tell the players. And if I didn't have the support and belief in those two guys, yeah, it would have been different. So I appreciate that.
All right, there's new Oilers head coach Chris Knoblauch, emotional there at the end, and thinking of his family who had to leave behind to hop on a plane to get to Edmonton from Hartford, coaching the Wolfpack there of the AHL, and giving some love to another former Oiler assistant coach, former Golden Bears head coach Rob Dahm. And so a bit of a touching moment there, but we'll see how Chris Knoblauch manages this Oilers team and if they respond and if he can get this team back on track. I think that's what all of the people in the city and who follow the Oilers want to see. But so some emotion, and nice for him to acknowledge those that helped him get to where he's at right now. Trev, what'd you think of that?
I like that a lot, actually, like finishing off with that question. I'm sure it won over a lot of fans, and he shows his emotions. I think that goes a long way with a lot of people. That stuck with me. I like that. He shows he's got some heart. I like it when a coach is okay to show that side. There's this stereotypical, I'm a hockey coach, this, but no, I like that a lot. So, at the beginning there, he's like, I got a pretty good understanding on these players. I think he's definitely going to be relying a lot on, Gully, Glenn Gulletson, and, Paul Coffey quite a bit, right? He knows his hockey for sure, but you're going from a guy that has been in the organization since 2015-16, and Jay Woodcroft knows the players from in the NHL to Bakersfield, maybe even more than Ken Holland. As far as longer goes, for sure. So you're going from that to a guy who, is just meeting a lot of these players for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I didn't mind what you can just tell he's a good speaker, and for the most part, I liked what he said for everything. So can't complain there, Tommy.
Brad from Crossfield, Texan says, I know this, boys. If Chris snags a win tonight, he will have a better winning percentage than Woody. Yes, indeed. Some simple math there. North Side Sandwich. Love it. Hey, Tommy, how much are you loving it? Greg's lost a bet, and he has to do the thing with his hair. Good for Gregor. And I'm sure, I haven't heard yet, but I'm pretty sure, knowing Greg's, it'll be something to do with a charity component, and he'll raise a ton of money when he does. So that's kind of it's funny, and the charity side of it's awesome. So Greg's is doing it for the right reasons, and I think it's funny. So I had to get a perm. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and good on Gregor for following through with this. Hopefully I get to see him tonight at the rink, and I'll talk to him a little bit about it. Okay, let's go back into the Oilers locker room as they get set to welcome in their new head coach, Chris Knoblauch, who we just heard from. Let's go to the captain, Conor McDavid, following the team's morning skate.
Maybe just give us your reaction to the news yesterday of Jay and Dave being let go, and how that kind of resonates in here and with you.
Yeah, first and foremost, obviously surprised. Didn't see it coming. I loved playing for Woody, loved playing for Mance, two guys that, I think are unbelievable coaches, and I really think that they'll be in the league very, very soon. Two great coaches.
When something like that happens, how much is it for you guys about like a good hard look in the mirror and kind of understanding your guys' responsibility and things being where they are?
Obviously our play hasn't been good enough. I'm first on the list there, so our play needs to be better. It's the reason that two good guys lost their job, and obviously as players, we got to be better.
Chris, can you maybe just discuss kind of your working relationship with the new coach and what you like about him?
Yeah, it's been a really long time, obviously. I thought he was great in junior. I don't know much about what he's been up to, other than he's been coaching obviously, and he's kind of been in the NHL as an assistant, and in the American League as a head coach, and he's a young voice, which is great. I think it resonates with a lot of guys in this room. He's somebody that I look forward to working with.
With Jay, did the message get lost or something? Because he had you guys going.
Not at all. I don't think he never lost the room. I didn't think. Never lost the room. So I'm not sure.
So you say it was a surprise. So obviously the players weren't given a heads up that this might happen. Like you woke up yesterday and heard the news type thing?
I woke up to a text, like probably a lot of you guys did as well. I know the narrative out there, obviously, but it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah. Chris said this is going to be a new regular season for you. It's a fresh start. Is that how you feel? Obviously we don't start 0-0-0. We start where we start. With that being said, it is a fresh voice, fresh face, and something to build, I guess.
All right, there's Conor McDavid reiterating that Jay Woodcroft hadn't lost the room, and the message was getting through, but and then saying he's been surprised, and then also that he hasn't kept tabs on Chris Knoblauch during his time since Conor was in junior. This text came in, and it was in regard to Chris Knoblauch, who says, he seems like such a good person. Poor guy, toxic Oiler fans going to break him. Hopefully that's not the case. Thanks for the text. Calgary Glenn says, let's not hold Knoblauch at fault for what happened to Woodcroft. The dysfunction of team management is not on him. He was given the opportunity of a lifetime to be a head coach in the NHL, and of course he took it. He deserves all of our support. Calgary Glenn with that one. And good reminder, Calgary Glenn. Appreciate that very much. This one says, until they remove any remains of the old boys club, the Oilers will continue to fail. Blame the coach for the failures of the GM. Then you let that same GM fire the coach that has an over 600 records. Seriously, this organization was wasting Conor. This one says, Tommy, what would you think Oilers get Travis Sanheim and Delorier for Nurse, Janmark, and second-round pick? I think the roster needs a massive shakeup, and this would hit the core. Yeah, that would hit the core. That one from Braden. I know Nurse has a no-movement clause, so he'd have to waive it. And, yeah, that's a juicy deal for Philadelphia. But I don't know. I know that they are working on stuff. They're putting ideas together. Hockey Ops is supposed to be trying to find some solutions, and that was their task over the weekend. I'm not sure where they're at with that. And ultimately, I don't know who makes that call, if it's Ken Holland or if it's Jeff Jackson now. And yesterday, there was a bit of confusion when I asked them about, if the leadership group was brought in to discuss and have an impact on the decision to make a coaching change. And, Ken talked about talking to the players a week leading up to the coaching change. And then Jeff Jackson went in and said, nope, didn't consult the players at all. This was my call. So that sounds like it needs to get sorted out too at the same time, to be honest with you. It's a mess. It's a mess, to say the least. All right, let's go back into the Oilers locker room. We heard from Conor McDavid. Let's this time hear from Leon Draisaitl, a part of that leadership group.
Okay, good to go. Leon, if you can, just maybe your thoughts on the news yesterday with Jay and Dave being let go, and how that resonates in here and with you.
Yeah, it's a tough day. those are never fun. Two incredible coaches that have really had nothing but success here. So it's unfortunate.
Connor said that he said in no way had Woody lost the room. What are your thoughts on that?
Couldn't agree more. He's a great coach. He's going to have a lot of success wherever he's going. So, there's no way that he lost anyone in here. Obviously, us players, we're the ones on the ice. We're as prepared as any team in the league for any given night. So, it's on us to obviously be better.
Lots of coaches in Edmonton over the years. You've had certainly more than your share. What should we think about that? What does it mean when a team's recycling coaches like this one does?
I don't think it means anything, really. We've had a lot of success here, too. We won over 100 games over the last 2 years. People tend to forget that. Definitely not the start that we wanted, and that's on no one but us players. So, those days, they're always tough. They suck. There's a lot of guilt you carry within yourself, but obviously have to move on.
Where's the process for you guys in terms of finding that consistent game a little more often? The process of the discussion in here, you guys keeping each other accountable, all those things, Leon. How's it in your hands?
It's never a question in this room to hold each other accountable. We're as tight of a group as there is. We hold each other accountable in here. We just individually haven't been playing to our standard collectively as a group. There's not one player in here that probably can say, I've been playing really, really good. So this is a collective thing that's been going on for too long, and unfortunately the coach is usually the one that has to hold his head for that.
Where does it start for you in terms of you want to help other guys, but you got to take care of your own game too? So where does this start for you?
I got my own game to worry about right now. Certainly not at my level or at the expectations that I have for myself. So just looking to bounce back tonight.
So this collective malaise, do you think it's something that can be turned around fairly quickly?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen this group play in the past. I've seen this group play really good hockey in the past, and there's no excuses here really to just play better hockey. It's very simple.
Your impressions on the new coach?
It's been good. I mean, I don't know much about him, so obviously I have to give him some time to get to know everyone and get comfortable and get to know us and us get to know him. So,
All right, so there's Leon Draisaitl this morning as he gets set to welcome in his new coach, Chris Knoblauch. And he said it there too, reiterated that Woodcroft had not lost the room. I believe that. I generally do believe that. But they need to play better. I mean, Draisaitl said it there. And they cost the two coaches their job. They cost them their job by not executing way too many times this season. Okay, we will go inside the room one last time on the Oilers side. Let's hear from Darnell Nurse.
I was just saying, listening to some of your teammates, they seem quite shocked by the move. Would you sort of be in that same category as surprised that Jay and Dave are gone?
I don't think anyone saw it coming from our perspective, but same point, when we put together the record and the way we played at the beginning of the year, you put good hockey people, get smart hockey coaches in jeopardy, and that's on us.
You looked like the other night you guys were playing for your coaching staff, and they still pulled the trigger. Was that a little surprising for the group, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that goes into the surprise of it. I thought we played really well in Seattle, and for us as a group, it stinks. Like you build relationships with coaches in this organization, and we've been very fortunate to play for some really good people, some really good hockey minds, and it stings when they're gone, right? And everyone feels it. So, with that said, having Chris and Koff come in here, we gotta give them our everything, and looking forward to, so much hockey left here that us as a team to continue to build on, some of the success we had the other night.
What's it going to be like working with Coffey? A Hall of Fame guy comes in here, obviously. Everyone knows his resume, but be working with him every day. What's it going to be like with him?
Yeah, obviously the way he sees the game, he had such a great career and had so much success in this league for a reason. So to be able to pick his mind and get a first-hand look and some tips in game and in action is going to be huge for our group.
Darnell, what's the right way to process this when it happens in terms of, this is a big move early in the season here that maybe in some ways is designed to shake the group out of a bit of a slumber. What's the right way to process it to make sure that happens?
Yeah, I think for us as a group, we got to play it. There's been a couple messages I think sent to our group over the last week or so, and for us, it's taking those messages. And I think this start of the season hasn't gone the way that we've wanted to, but I think for 2-3 months before that, we were in here talking about how much we believed in this group and how good of a team we have, and the characters and the faces in this room haven't changed. And I think we have to continue to realize that and continue to work, because you're going to hit rough patches and things like that, and there's going to be shakeups. And at the end of the day, the belief in this group, the belief that we have within each other, can't be shaken by what goes on around it.
Last time you changed your coach and Woody came in, it turned your season around. I guess is that kind of you're hoping that this does the same thing type thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have lots of confidence in this group, and I think we have just so much hockey left to play. Like I said, we're going to give everything that we have to Chris and Koff, because I think that's what they deserve. It's two people that have been around this game a long time, whether coaching or being one of the greats of the game. And for us, we got to approach that with our ears wide open and attack the rest of the season with the hunger that we had coming in here at camp.
Despite the coaching change, there's a lot of positives that you can take from Saturday's win. The 18 shots against, the quick lead. Is it a bit of a bizarre situation where you have that coaching change after such a good performance?
Yeah, I think what gets lost in all of this is that we have a game tonight. And there's a lot of things that went on yesterday, and then obviously coming in today and seeing some new faces and whatnot. But we have a big game tonight against the New York Islanders, and that's where our mind needs to be and is going to be, and that's the approach we got to take one day at a time.
There you go. There is Darnell Nurse, ears wide open, and we forget that they do take on the New York Islanders tonight. That's why we're here right now doing this. First of two meetings between the Oilers and the Islanders. They will lock horns again on December 19th on Long Island. Edmonton coming off that 4-1 win in Seattle the other night. The Islanders a 4-1 loss to Washington on Saturday. This is a brief 2-game homestand for the Oil, and the Islanders kick off a 4-game Pacific Division road trip. The Islanders start it here, then they're in Van, then they go to Seattle, then they wrap it up in Calgary. The New York Islanders 2-2 on the road this year. If you're wondering what the Oilers' record against the Islanders is all time without playoffs, 26-9-0 with 5 ties at home, and then overall 36-31-2 with 14 ties all time against the Islanders. Edmonton looking for its first win against the Metropolitan Division this season. The Islanders facing a Pacific Division opponent for the first time this year. Okay, let's hear from Islanders bench boss Lane Lambert now.
Fairly optimistic, but again, we'll have to see at game time. But I am fairly optimistic.
And if Julian draws in for Matty Martin, why? And you haven't played Julian in a long time.
Yeah.
What can you get out of it?
Well, if he does, he has speed, so that's what you get out of Julian. But again, these are game time decisions.
Matt's ice time has been down a little bit. Is that just because you've been playing from behind a lot?
It's a lot of that. 100%. Yeah. When you're chasing a game, you know, the top 9, especially the top 6 guys are, you know, going out there for a lot of different situations. You know, when you're trying to score a goal.
When you alter the chemistry on the fourth line, the times that you've done it, does it still have the same feel to it? Is it still the same mix with Casey and Cal if they're playing with someone else? Or, you know, if it's not, is that a sum that's, you know, better than the individual parts sometimes?
Well, I think with any line, and it doesn't matter about their line or any other line, you know, the strategy and the tendency is to try and keep 2 guys together no matter what. So it doesn't alter it that much, no.
You know, what have you seen from Julian to kind of stay ready for the chance if he's able to get into it?
Well, he's just been working hard. You know, he's doing extra after practice, and he's doing what a player has to do who isn't and hasn't been playing.
You know, and for you guys, is going on the road a good chance to kind of, you know, you're looking to get out of the stretcher and is kind of being together on the road? Is that a good antidote sometimes?
I think it is. Sometimes you can spend too much time at home. We've played a lot of home games to start the season, and, you know, it's not a bad thing to get out on the road.
Is there anything to taking on an opponent who's just gone through a change of the head coach?
No, not really. I mean, we're preparing the same way we would usually prepare. You know, does anything change with them systematically? We'll see what happens. You know, we have some ideas about, you know, his tendencies, but again, this change was made late, and you know, there hasn't been a whole lot of time to probably instill a lot of different things. So, you know, it's a good hockey team over there. Let's put it that way. We know they are. They've got 2 of the top players in the world, and so we'll have to be ready.
Do you get any scouting reports from Rick just because Bridgeport does play Hartford so much?
Well, certainly, you know, you talk about that with him just to get some idea.
I mean, you've been in the league a long time. You've seen a lot of Bulldog-like quality players. Where does Casey kind of rank amongst the all-time Bulldogs that you've seen?
He ranks right up there. You know, I mean, you get everything the same every day he comes to the rink in terms of his effort, his personality, his passion, and he shows it every night on the ice as well. We're lucky to have him.
Shifting gears a little bit, Pierre Turgeon, former Islanders, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on him as a player, person like that?
I don't know him personally, but as a player, just tremendous. You know, incredible hockey sense, offensive abilities. You know, a very dangerous player. I mean, obviously a very great player. He's going in the Hall of Fame.
All right, there is Islanders head coach Lane Lambert getting set to take on the Edmonton Oilers tonight. It says the strategy doesn't really change with the Oilers changing their coaching staff, and they're going to prepare for them the same. And we'll see how the Islanders take on the Oilers tonight. And they'll have to deal with Leon Draisaitl and Conor McDavid on different lines. That's Chris Knoblauch doing that with his lines. So let's go through those right now, and then we'll get to the Islanders lineup as well. The Oilers will have McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Gagne, Draisaitl between Kane and Hyman, McLeod centering Holloway and Fogle, Hamblin between Lavoie and Ryan. On defense, no changes. Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with CC, Kulak with Desharnais, Janmark, day-to-day shoulder, Brown, day-to-day lower body. As for those New York Islanders, Bo Horvat centering Matt Barzal and Simon Holmstrom, Brock Nelson between Pierre Engvall and Kyle Palmieri, J.G. Pajot between Anders Lee and Oliver Wahlstrom. Then you've got Casey Cizikas with the aforementioned Julian Gauthier there, and Cal Clutterbuck. Doesn't sound like Matt Martin will go. If there's any changes, we'll pass those along your way. On defense for the Islanders, Sebastian Aho with Noah Dobson, Alexander Romanov with Ryan Pulock, and then Samuel Bolduc with Scott Mayfield. Injured for the Islanders, Adam Pelech, day-to-day lower body. Starting goalies, Stuart Skinner, the 25-year-old, 2-5-1 this season, 353 goals against average, 861 save percentage in 9 games this year. He will face the Islanders for the first time in his career. And at the other end of the rink, 28-year-old Ilya Sorokin, one of the best in the business right now, 3-2-3 with a 324 goals against average and 907 save percentage with 1 shutout in 8 games this year. Sorokin versus the Oilers, 2-2 record, 225 goals against average, 937 save percentage, and 1 shutout in 4 appearances versus Edmonton. YouTube, Trev, any thoughts on lineups and everything that we heard there from the Oilers side and the Islanders side?
Yeah, like as far as the lineup goes, I think it's been a while since we've seen Ryan Nugent-Hopkins lace him up with Conor McDavid, and they have had history of being okay at times. So they're trying to get McDavid, Nuge even as well, and Gagne on that line. I don't mind it either. Draisaitl, Kane, and Hyman. The finishing off last season, Kane and Draisaitl. I remember several highlight reel goals those guys scored. Some nice cross crease passes, backhand beauties from Leon Draisaitl. So if we can get used to seeing that would be nice to see. They're trying to obviously switch it up. Something's gotta happen. I'm looking forward to see Holloway build off of his best game as a pro for sure. And I definitely think he will. Baby steps for sure. But as for what everyone said, it's just going back to Connor. It's just I'm very surprised. I did not see that coming. Like, I don't know. Like I don't know what Kenny was saying. Like it's still just all so confusing. I don't get it. How one guy says, like, you know how many memes I've seen, Tommy? Like, it's been out for one day. We're going to be seeing them for quite a while, I feel like. And it's just, it's crazy. And then as far as, on the Nielsen show this morning, Dusty said, we rolled the clip with coffee, and he was like, I was still leaning towards no, but I said, I'll do anything I can to help. And next thing you know, like, it's like, I'm just baffled. It doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, so that's my 2 cents. I'll leave it at that. It's kind of crazy. I was at the game that Jay Woodcroft's first game as Oilers bench boss. It was a 3-1 win. You mentioned it earlier in the show, and they won. So I remember all the articles after that game. It was they get used to seeing this defensive play, this defensive style structure, and fast forward 2 years, here we are. So time will tell. I think they're going to be motivated tonight, as they should be. It's going to be fresh. They're tired of this. They have to be tired of this. And building off of, I'm still just also confused on. I feel like they had to have made the decision in the middle of the week last week, because win or lose, that had to have been the case, like, right? Like, it's weird that it's after a W. Like, they won probably their best game, well, that or the Flames game, and like, good job, Jay, on the win. See you on the way. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't get it. But sorry, I'm rambling on there, Tommy. I'm just it's so confusing. It should be a good one, though.
Feeling the same. Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. The coaches bump when they get a new coach. Sad that it's at this point, and this has happened. But an opportunity for Chris Knoblauch, who obviously very excited. You saw and heard him earlier getting a little bit choked up when he was asked who got him there, and he gave praise to his wife and his family and Rob Dahm and stuff like that. So, here he goes. This is it. This is on Chris Knoblauch to help turn this thing around. And the reluctant Paul Coffey behind the bench, and as discombobulated as the executives and the brass on the hockey side seem, as long as they get wins on the ice, I think that's all that people really care for at this point. Let's wrap up with a couple of texts. This one says, "Hey Tommy, remember 2 days ago when we were just on a losing streak? Why does that feel better than what happened yesterday?" Yeah, it's a weird vibe for sure. Can't argue that. Can't argue that at all. Another text says, "So does Knoblauch have full autonomy to pick his assistants? I can't see Coffey panning out." The answer is no, as of right now. I asked Ken Holland and Jeff Jackson yesterday in that press conference if the assistants' roles stayed the same. And even Chris, he addressed it. He said, yeah, I'll reassess and everything like that. So Mark Stewart's still there. Dustin Short's still there. Glenn Gullettson's still there. And then the new guys are Coffey and Knoblauch. Maybe next year in the offseason, because as Rashog reported, it's a year plus, or this year plus 2, sounds like, for Chris Knoblauch. Norman at Combine says, "Great show, guys. Have a good night. Go Oilers." Thank you, Norman at Combine. Spruce Grove Corey Thank you for sending that picture. Says he knows who the puppet master is. Well done, Spruce Grove Corey. Good with the memes. And then this one says, regardless of the win, the wheels were in motion. You had to hire the guy and get him to town. Talk to the Rangers as well. Yeah, that's true. All right. So it's the Oilers and the Islanders, the beginning of the Chris Knoblauch era in oil country. How will the team respond? Can they bounce back? Can they dig themselves out of this hole that they buried themselves in? We shall see. A big game against the Islanders, who've dropped 4 straight. The Oilers winning the other night in Seattle, looking to make it 2 in a row for the first time this season. Unbelievable. We're already a month into the season, and we're talking about this. That's how bad it's been, and it's already cost 2 good coaches their jobs. We'll see how things play out tonight between the Oilers and the Islanders. A big thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you listened on TuneIn or if you listened on our audio stream, appreciate it as always. If you watched on our EST YouTube channel, a big thank you to you as well. Like, share, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, all that good stuff. For Joaquin, Gage, and YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy the Oilers versus the Islanders. We'll see you on the post-game show. Ciao for now.